Someone once said, if your voice is loud, some people will listen. But if your message is strong, everyone will pay attention. Hi everyone, welcome Tat Channel, and today I have an inspiring story for you.
That morning, the sky was clear, and gentle rays of sunlight stretched across the long road ahead.
Vinod, his wife, and their little son, Golu, were on their way to another city to attend the birthday celebration of a relative's daughter.
The
Car was filled with laughter, and Golu was beyond excited. They had carefully picked out a beautiful gift to bring along. As the car cruised past lush green fields and quiet little villages, Golu chatted away, his round eyes shining with excitement.
He was too young to fully understand the meaning of family gatherings, but in his heart, there was a simple joy going on a trip with his parents, discovering the world around him. Journeys like these were more than just traveling from one place to another.
They were moments of connection, of love, and of strengthening the bonds that tied them together. But little did they know that this very journey would bring them an unexpected lesson, one that would stay with them forever. As they drove along the highway, crossing a bridge over a calm river, Golu suddenly shouted, "Papa, watermelon!"
Watermelon.
His tiny hand pointed toward a young girl standing by the roadside, next to a pile of fresh, green watermelons. That simple moment would soon unfold into a touching story, one of giving, of loss, and most importantly, of understanding the true meaning of love in life. The car came to a stop by the roadside, near a little girl selling watermelons under the scorching sun. Her faded clothes clung to her small frame, and beads of sweat dotted her forehead. Yet she wore a bright, genuine smile, one that carried warmth and resilience.
Her eyes, though young, held a depth that hinted at an untold story. Vinod's wife rolled down the window and gently asked, "How much for a watermelon, dear?"
The girl politely replied, 50 rupees for one, ma'am." Vinod glanced at his wife, who, out of habit, started bargaining. "How about 40 rupees? The girl shook her head, her voice soft but firm. "I can't sell it for less, ma'am." For
a brief moment, silence lingered.
But then, the girl caught sight of little Golu, eagerly leaning out of the window, his eyes shining with excitement. Seeing his innocent joy, she smiled and said, "All right, for your little boy, I'll sell
it for 40 rupees. Golu clapped his hands in excitement as he reached out to take the watermelon.
But his tiny hands weren't strong enough to hold it. And then thud, the watermelon slipped and crashed onto the ground, shattering into pieces. For a second,
Golu stood frozen.
Then his face crumpled, and he burst into tears. My watermelon, my watermelon." Without hesitation, the girl crouched down, her voice filled with kindness as she comforted him. "Don't cry, little one. I'll get you another one." She quickly ran back to her pile, picked out another watermelon, and gently placed it
in Golu's hands. At that moment, Vinod and his wife had no idea they were about to step into a story that would change them forever, a story of love, loss, and the true treasures of life. Golu stopped crying as the girl gently placed another watermelon in his hands. She didn't hesitate, nor did she seem upset about losing one. Instead, there was warmth in her eyes, as if she were comforting someone she deeply cared about. Vinod's
wife finally spoke, her voice carrying a hint of guilt. "We won't pay for the one that fell, just so you know." The girl shook her head, her smile still soft, but her eyes carried a sorrow too deep for her young age. "I don't need money for that one.
I gave it to your son because I thought he could hold it." Something about her words made Vinod and
his wife pause. Sensing an unspoken truth, Vinod's wife asked gently, "Do you have a little brother?" The girl's smile faltered. Her bright eyes suddenly turned misty, and she nodded slightly. Her voice grew quieter, as if speaking the words would make the pain real all over again. "My little brother was only 2 years old.
We had just celebrated his birthday.
But then, he got sick and he didn't make it." A gentle breeze
passed by, carrying with it a heavy silence. No one said a word. Vinod and his wife looked at the girl, their hearts aching for her. They had never imagined that behind her innocent smile was a loss so profound, a grief too heavy for such a small child to bear. The girl lowered her gaze, softly adjusting the watermelon in Golu's hands.
With a faint, bittersweet smile, she
whispered, "He reminds me of my little brother, so please hold on to this one carefully." Vinod and his wife stood in silence, deeply moved by the girl's story.
She was just a child, yet she had endured a loss so profound.
They could feel the sorrow hidden in her voice, in her eyes a quiet but relentless pain. Vinod's wife gazed at the girl for a long moment, then slowly reached into her handbag.
Her fingers touched a small ring, a gift they had bought for their relative's daughter, meant for the birthday celebration they were heading to. But now, as she looked at
The girl standing before her, she knew this ring belonged to someone else. With a warm smile, she gently placed the ring in the girl's hand. "Take this, my dear. It's a gift from a mother to her daughter." The girl's eyes widened in surprise as she stared at the shimmering ring in her palm.
"But I don't know what to do with it." Vinod's wife smiled tenderly.
"You called Goey your little brother, so I would call you my daughter. This is a gift from me to you, just as a mother would give to her child." The girl clenched the ring slightly, as if trying to absorb the warmth of the woman's touch. A single tear slipped down her cheek, not from sadness, but from something she had not felt in a long time: unconditional love. Vinod stood beside them, his vision blurring slightly. Watching this moment unfold, he realized something
he had never truly understood before.
Vinod watched as the little girl clutched the ring tightly in her hand, her eyes shimmering with tears, not of sadness, but of happiness. Such a small gift, yet it carried immense meaning.
It was not just a ring. It was a symbol of love, of connection, of a family she never knew she had taught at that moment. Something inside Vinod shifted.
For so long, he had been caught up in a bitter dispute with his older brother, fighting over a shop, over property, over material things that he had believed were the most important.
Greed and pride had blinded him, making him forget the true value of family. But now, standing before this little girl who had lost so much yet still had a heart full of love, he saw everything with new clarity. He took a deep breath, pulled out his phone, and called his brother. "Brother, I've been thinking a lot. You can keep the big shop. I'll take the smaller one."
"We're brothers. Why should we fight over something so meaningless?" There was silence on the other end.
Then his brother's voice came through, choked with emotion. "Ah, are you serious?" Vinod smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace wash over him.
"Yes, I've realized that in family, we shouldn't
count profit and loss. We've let meaningless things divide us for too long." As he hung up, Vinod felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He turned to his wife, then to the little watermelon girl. She had lost so much, yet she still carried a heart full of kindness. And in her, Vinod had learned
an invaluable lesson in relationships. The greatest treasure is not what we gain, but what we are willing to give.